Welcome to The Deep Dive, the show that takes your sources, your notes, and your core questions and delivers the essential knowledge you need to move forward. So today we are tackling a challenge that I think unites almost every single person trying to master English, and that's the sheer, just blinding speed of native conversation. You've probably felt this. You've put in the time, you know the grammar rules, your vocabulary lists are, they're impressive. You can sit down and read a complex article, no problem.
Yeah.
But the second a native speaker starts talking casually, maybe it's a quick debate, friendly chat, even listening to a show like this one, it all just sort of melts together.
It becomes a blur.
Exactly. It's a blur of connected sound. You're not hearing individual words anymore. It's just this one long, incomprehensible stream. And the frustration there is, it's immense. It really feels like you're stuck on the outside of the conversation, like you're missing some secret key to unlock the real rhythm and flow of the language.
Right. The way it's actually spoken.
Yes, the way it's spoken in the real world. So our mission today is to crack that specific code, the code of connected speech and conversational velocity. We've done a really comprehensive deep dive into sources covering everything from, well, language proficiency benchmarks like the Common European Framework of Reference,
The CEFR. Yeah.
all the way to guides on tactical, tech-based solutions. So we're talking high-impact YouTube channels, successful online learning methods. We're aiming to give you a complete multi-layered strategy to move past that struggle for good. Joining me, as always, is our expert, ready to guide us. So when we talk about this frustration of fast English, is that really the core issue? Are native speakers just talking too fast, or is this perception masking something else, a skill that hasn't been fully developed?
It's definitely the latter, and I think that distinction is, well, it's crucial for getting over this barrier. The perception of fast English is almost always a gap in specific processing skills. It's often related to what linguists call connected speech, basically how we naturally slur, reduce, and link words together when we talk quickly.
So it's not the raw speed, it's how the words are mushed together.
Exactly. It isn't the raw speed of the sound waves, but your brain's inability to segment that rapid stream of sound into individual, recognizable words fast enough. But what's really exciting is that this is a fixable problem. The technology we have today, I mean, right on your phone or your computer, it directly addresses these skill gaps.
How so?
It allows you to essentially control the pace of the world. It gives you the scaffolding you need to train your ear to segment those sounds and to bridge that gap. And today, we're going to show you exactly how to leverage that control.
Okay, let's unpack that. Before we get to the how, I think we need to understand the why and the what. So why is mastering this speed hurdle so vital? And, what does true fluency actually look like on a measurable scale?
Well, we have to start with the sheer scope and, frankly, the value of the asset you're trying to acquire here. English is, without a doubt, the global lingua franca. I mean, just think about its reach. You have approximately 1.5 billion people worldwide speaking it, either as a native language or as a proficient second language.
That's a staggering number.
It is. And due to a whole lot of complex historical factors, global trade, the influence of the British Empire, and then the dominant economic and tech power of the U.S. English has really cemented itself as the main language for almost every major international field. We're talking business, technology, software development, academic research, global culture like film and music, and of course travel.
So improving your skills isn't just a hobby.
Not at all. Improving your proficiency, especially your ability to handle real-world speech, is a vital asset. It opens doors for career advancement, it simplifies international communication, and it gives you access to vastly richer cultural experiences, without that bottleneck of translation.
Okay, so if English is this non-negotiable gateway, how do we measure where our listening skills are right now? What does that ultimate goal-handling, fast native speech actually look like? We need some kind of map.
And that map is the CEFR, the Common European Framework of Reference. This isn't just some, random grading scale. It was developed over 2 decades, launched back in 2001, to provide a really transparent, standardized, and coherent way to assess language ability around the world.
So it's a global standard.
It is. It gives you a very clear roadmap of your progression. The CEFR has 6 levels, A1 up to C2, and they're grouped into 3 main categories. Basic user, which is A, independent user, which is B, and proficient user, which is C. And each level is defined by these detailed can-do statements. So it's useful because when you say you're B1 or B2, those labels mean something concrete and measurable to employers, to schools, to immigration services everywhere.
And I think it's crucial to understand that we use different mental muscles when we communicate, right? The sources mention 3 different modes of communication that the CEFR uses to define proficiency.
Absolutely. Yeah, proficiency isn't just one single skill. It's measured across 3 very distinct modes, and each one demands a different kind of cognitive load. The first one is the interpretive mode. Think of this as receptive. It's one-way communication. You're passively receiving information without any immediate need to respond.
Like listening to this show right now.
Exactly. Listening to a podcast, watching a movie, reading an article, it's like watching a parade go by. You're observing and processing, but you don't have to jump in and interact. At the higher levels, this requires you to understand nuance, cultural references, and infer meaning.
So it's the consumption mode. That makes total sense.
Precisely. Now, the second mode, and this is the one that causes the most immediate problem with fast English, is the interpersonal mode.
This is the high-pressure one.
This is the high-pressure cooker, yes. It's two-way active negotiation of meaning. This is your spoken conversations, your video calls, or even real-time messaging that requires a logical, immediate, and spontaneous response. So, unlike the interpretive mode, here both people are actively monitoring each other, retrieving vocabulary instantly, and formulating replies at the same time. The cognitive load is just enormous.
Right. And that's where the breakdown happens.
That's it. When native speech feels too fast, it's because the interpersonal mode requires your processing speed to match the speaker's input speed, and that's a very high bar. It's like the difference between watching a baseball game, that's interpretive, and actually catching a ball thrown straight at you and having to throw it back instantly.
That's a great analogy.
You have to react and produce language right now. And finally, you have the presentational mode. This is one way, but it's productive. This is when you create language for others, but you have the luxury of preparation.
Like giving a speech or writing a report.
Exactly. Giving a formal speech, writing a detailed report, creating a business presentation. The skill there is measured by clarity and style, but that pressure of real-time speed is totally removed.
That distinction is just, it's transformative. I mean, when people say, I understand perfectly when I read, but I can't keep up when I talk, what they're really saying is that their interpretive skills are strong, but their interpersonal skills are still developing.
That is exactly what's happening.
So we're really focused today on training that interpersonal processing speed. Let's look at how listening confidence, the receptive side of that, progresses through those CEFR levels.
You can see the expectations for handling speed change so drastically as you move up the framework. The journey starts the A1 basic user level. The descriptors for A1 clearly state that the learner can only understand very basic, concrete phrases about their immediate surroundings. And this is key, only when people speak slowly and clearly.
So communication is totally dependent on the other person helping you.
Completely. It's dependent on repetition, on rephrasing, on correction. Speed is an absolute, total barrier at this stage.
You know, I remember my own frustration with this. I felt like I was past A1, maybe somewhere in B1. But the moment I heard 2 native speakers get into a spontaneous, like a stressed out argument, I think they were debating a parking spot.
Oh, the worst case scenario.
It just turned into pure noise. And I realized that those descriptors about standard dialect don't really account for real-life stress or emotion or that kind of speed.
That is such a powerful real-world observation. And as you move up toward the B2 independent user level, you hit a really significant milestone. The B2 descriptor says you can understand extended speech and complex arguments and follow the majority of films in standard dialect.
Okay, so that's a huge jump.
It is. It means the basic mechanical speed of speech is largely conquered, provided that the speech is clear, normalized, and in a recognizable accent. The problem then shifts from, I can't segment the words, to more like, I don't know that idiom, or wow, that accent is really thick.
So what does the absolute finish line look like? The level where that speed barrier is just completely gone?
That is the C2 proficient user level. The C2 descriptor for listening is, really, it's the ultimate goal for our listener today. It says the user has no difficulty in understanding any kind of spoken language, whether live or broadcast, even when delivered at fast native speed, provided they have some time to get familiar with the accent.
No difficulty, even when delivered at fast native speed.
That's the promise.
That's the promise. It means the speed itself stops being a functional barrier. The challenge becomes entirely about, contextual nuance, specialized vocabulary, or specific regional accents, not the velocity of the words themselves.
Okay, so that gives us our concrete target. We're training our ears to operate at C2 speed for comprehension, even if our interpersonal speaking skills are still catching up. But, as I said, that leap from needing people to speak slowly and clearly at A1 to handling fast native speed at C2, it feels massive. How can technology help us make that leap right now? Well, this is the great part. We don't have to wait for our brains to magically speed up. We can actually force the world to slow down for us. This is the huge advantage of modern digital content.
So let's get into the practical, technical fix. The source materials we looked at highlighted a direct solution that is, honestly, so simple it's often overlooked: YouTube speed controls. But I can hear the criticism already. Isn't that cheating? Doesn't slowing speech down just create a kind of technological crutch? Are we really training our ears or just delaying the inevitable?
That's a fair question, but it comes from a misunderstanding of how auditory training actually works. Using the speed control, say, slowing a video down to 75% or even 50%, it's not a permanent crutch, it's a piece of scaffolding.
Scaffolding, I like that.
Yeah, think about it. When native speakers talk quickly, they use connected speech, they delete sound, they reduce vowels, they link words, gonna, what you doing. When a learner hears that at full speed, their brain is just overwhelmed because it can't segment that stream into known words quickly enough.
It's just that blur we talked about.
It's the blur. By slowing the speed even just a little, you give your brain the necessary milliseconds to process that connected stream, to segment the words, to hear going to inside of gonna, and to associate that new pronunciation with the written word. So you're training your ear to hear the shape of the sound, and then you gradually remove the scaffolding. If you only listen at full speed and get frustrated, you learn nothing. But if you slow it down, comprehend it 100%, and repeat that over and over, you're actively building the neural pathways for rapid segmentation.
That's so powerful. You're training the ear to recognize the patterns. And that control is then multiplied by the ability to just turn on subtitles. Our sources repeatedly emphasized the benefit of subtitles, just being able to read along. Written English is often so much easier for the brain to process than spoken English. So pairing the auditory signal, the slowed down audio, with the visual text creates this massive reinforcement.
Right, you're targeting two different sensory inputs at the same time, which just locks the information in much more effectively. This lets you turn what was high-speed, intimidating content into really manageable, scaffolded practice where you're actively linking sound to meaning, but without all the pressure.
Okay, so let's dive into some of the curated resources. Our sources pointed to some excellent specialized channels designed to help with very specific aspects of this. For the advanced learner, someone who's already passed basic grammar and is really looking to speak natural English to polish their pronunciation to get that C2 flow, Rachel's English was consistently mentioned as the gold standard.
Oh, Rachel's methodology is just invaluable. It's because she addresses the mechanics of sound. She's a classically trained opera singer and a pronunciation expert, so she doesn't just teach what to say, she teaches how the sounds are actually formed in your mouth.
It's physical.
It's very physical. She focuses specifically on the challenges of American English connected speech, on reduction, on stress patterns, which is the exact hurdle we're talking about. So, for example, she'll break down why a native speaker doesn't say the word and clearly, but reduces it to n, and how that little reduction changes the entire rhythm of a sentence.
Right, rock and roll.
Exactly. If you train your mouth to make those reductions naturally, your ear becomes so much faster at recognizing them when you hear them. Her lessons are all about building that conversational confidence and achieving a natural rhythm.
Okay, so that's for the advanced learner. But on the opposite end, what if a listener feels the content is just too fast and too complex? Where can they go to dial back both the speed and the vocabulary load at the same time?
That leads directly to VOA Learning English, which is run by the Voice of America. This channel is just a phenomenal concept. It's designed to teach American English using captioned news reports, but, and here's the magic, they deliberately use simpler vocabulary. They limit the dictionary they draw from.
And they slow down the speech.
And critically, they read the reports at a much, much slower speed than regular broadcast news. So this is more than just you hitting the playback button. This is pre-production engineering to ensure clarity.
So it's built for learning from the start.
Exactly. They also offer a huge free 52-week course and these little short bite lessons called English in a Minute, which focus on common American expressions. It's perfect for bridging that gap between textbook English and real-world topics.
Now, flipping across the Atlantic, for those focusing on, say, British English or Commonwealth dialects, we have the huge popularity of Speak English with Mr. Duncan.
Mr. Duncan is a true veteran in this space. He live streams 3 days a week from England. His focus is distinctly British. He uses an upper-class accent, but his style is so practical, he avoids getting bogged down in grammar tables.
Which can be a relief.
A huge relief. Instead, he focuses on practical language, slang, idioms, and crucially, how it's all spoken naturally. His content is really fun, often with memorable, exaggerated acting to make the language stick. He covers everything from news and current affairs to fashion and culture, so it's a great window into British daily life.
And what if someone prefers a highly structured, patient American English instructor? Something that feels more like a virtual classroom.
Then Jennifer ESL is an excellent choice. Jennifer provides really comprehensive, patient instruction in American English, and I think her key strength is her organization. Her resources are grouped into these detailed, cohesive playlists covering all the foundational elements: grammar, vocabulary, pronunciation, American culture, listening strategies.
So you can really follow a clear path.
You can. Learners really appreciate her clear delivery and that feeling of structured progression, which can be hard to find online.
Okay, finally, let's talk about the channels that prioritize pure immersion. The ones that expose you to unscripted, fast-paced dialogue, even if it feels overwhelming at first. These sound like the final training grounds.
They are essential because they introduce variability, and variability is the true challenge of the interpersonal mode. Easy English is fantastic for this. Their whole model is featuring real-life, unscripted conversations, just interviewing people on the street about everyday topics.
You're not just hearing one person's voice.
Exactly. The value is twofold. You get native, unscripted responses, and you hear the language spoken by dozens of different people with varied accents, vocal pitches, and speech patterns. This is vital for auditory processing because your brain has to learn to generalize sounds, not just recognize one teacher's clear voice.
And for those who learn best through pop culture and context.
Learn English with TD Series is the perfect bridge for that. They use clips from famous shows and movies, Friends, Star Wars, in these 20 to 30-minute deep dives. They meticulously break down the expressions, the cultural slang, the technical vocabulary used just within those little snippets.
So you're turning entertainment into a lesson.
Exactly. It turns passive entertainment into active, targeted study. You get to maximize the value of the shows you already love.
So to summarize the tactical approach here,
Yeah.
you use the technology to control the speed and add visual support with subtitles to master that interpretive mode. You're training your ear to segment connected speech at a pace you can handle. But then we hit that wall. The processing collapse when you try to speak back.
That is the critical juncture. You can now understand a slowed down clip perfectly, maybe even a B2 level conversation. But the moment you have to talk back to a real person, your brain's processing speed for production just falls apart.
Why does that happen? That spontaneous collapse. We've
Yeah.
trained the listening skill, the recognition is there. Why can't we produce the response at the speed we need to?
It's a cognitive bandwidth issue, and it goes right back to that distinction we made between the interpretive and interpersonal modes. Passive listening, or interpretive mode, is about recognition. But active conversation, the interpersonal mode, demands simultaneous recognition, retrieval, finding the right words, formulation, structuring the sentence, and production, actually speaking it.
You're doing 4 things at once.
You're trying to perform 4 complex tasks instantly. So if you only focus on comprehension, your brain doesn't develop the muscle memory for that instant retrieval and formulation. You can recognize the fast input, but the output pipeline is just slow. And this is backed up by research. A study from the University of Wisconsin-Madison showed very clearly that learners who consistently engage in speaking exercises significantly outperform those who only use comprehension-only methods.
So just listening isn't enough.
It's not. If you only train your brain to recognize fast English, you can't expect it to process, retrieve, and produce it in real time. Fluency demands active, two-way communication practice to build that rapid response time.
Okay, so we need dedicated training grounds. Low-pressure environments where we can practice that spontaneous interpersonal communication without the high stakes of a business meeting or a job interview. Where do we find that?
Language exchange platforms are the perfect laboratory for this. They allow you to practice that two-way, spontaneous communication, and really importantly, they help you overcome speaking anxiety. They force you to negotiate meaning, which is the core challenge of real-time speed.
Our sources covered a ton of apps, but let's condense this into a few key models, focusing on the functionality that really tackles this speed and spontaneity problem. What about just getting started, that need for instant practice?
For instant connection with low commitment, a model like Speaky is ideal. This platform is great if you just want to jump right in. It bypasses that awkwardness of scheduling by connecting you with users who are online right now and are actively learning your language.
So you just log on and go.
You log on and go. You're instantly shown a feed of online users ready to chat. That high volume of quick interactions really helps you get over that initial fear in starting a conversation.
But as you mentioned, a lot of these apps default to text messaging, which is great for writing, but it doesn't help us with spoken speed. So we need platforms that force us into live speaking.
Exactly. And that's where you look for tools that mandate voice interaction. A platform like the Mixer is explicitly designed to combat that text chat problem. It requires users to connect via an external service like Skype or WhatsApp or Zoom for live speaking practice.
So there's no hiding behind the keyboard.
None. It forces you into that necessary interpersonal mode, dealing with the immediacy and, the potential unpredictability of spoken language. Similarly, you have platforms focused on structured, balanced exchanges. HelloTalk has this innovative language exchange mode. When you turn it on, you and your partner get notifications reminding you when it's time to switch languages.
Well, that's smart.
It is. So you might do 10 minutes of English, then 10 minutes of Korean. It ensures balanced practice, which is vital because you have to train your production muscle just as much as your listening muscle.
And what about platforms that maybe gamify the exchange to make sure it's reciprocal and to keep people engaged?
That's the strength of the Lingby model. It's primarily real-time voice calls, and they use a reciprocal reward system. You earn lingos, their currency, by helping other people learn your native language. Then you spend those lingos on your own practice sessions with native speakers.
So it encourages you to give back.
It does. It encourages continuous, balanced participation, and it emphasizes that your value to the community depends on your active engagement. It elevates the exchange beyond just a casual chat to a structured, community-driven effort.
Now, language exchanges are fantastic for building confidence and fluency, but they can be inefficient for really targeted technical practice. What if a learner knows they have a specific weakness, say, a particular accent they can't follow, or a gap in business vocabulary?
That's where the professional platforms, like Preply, come in. This isn't an exchange app. It's a platform for finding professional one-on-one tutors. The advantage here is customization and efficiency. You can filter tutors by their country of origin, ensuring you find someone who speaks with the exact regional accent or dialect you want to master.
So you get very targeted feedback.
You get structured feedback, customized learning plans, and drills focused entirely on your level. A professional tutor can simulate a fast environment and then immediately break down your mistakes, which is something an exchange partner who is also learning just can't do.
And finally, for the ultimate high stakes, real-time practice.
Yeah.
How do we bridge that gap between talking on a screen and talking face-to-face?
You seek out in-person interaction. Platforms like Meetup are great for this. They organize local gatherings around common interests, and language exchange groups are one of their most popular categories globally. Attending an in-person exchange is the real deal for high-pressure interpersonal practice. You have to deal with ambient noise, body language, immediate physical interaction. It represents the final hurdle to conquering that speed anxiety. It's location-dependent, of course, but it offers the highest return on confidence.
So it seems like the strategy is this elegant, dual-pronged attack. Use technology to control receptive content while aggressively seeking out unpredictable, real-time, interpersonal communication. Now, how do we structure all of this for maximum efficiency?
We've laid out the tools, but consistency and method are the final non-negotiable pieces. The sources we reviewed all stress that the speed of your results depends not just on the tools, but on your own motivation, the learning environment you create, and most critically, the systematic way you dedicate your time.
The time commitment always feels like the biggest hurdle, doesn't it? When you're trying to balance language study with a job or school, how much time is really required to go from, say, B1 comprehension to C1 speed?
Well, the famous Foreign Service Institute, the FSI, they estimate that reaching basic professional fluency in a language like English takes about 24 to 30 weeks of full-time intensive study.
Wow, so that's like 1,200 to 1,500 hours.
Right. But that's an academic ideal for total immersion. For online learners fitting this around a busy schedule, the main benefit is flexibility. The consensus among successful learners is that efficiency is what's key. Even 10 minutes of focused, high-intensity interpersonal practice, like a quick Lingby call, is profoundly effective if you do it consistently, 5 or 7 days a week.
So it's about the habit, not just the hours.
It's the habit. The goal isn't just volume, it's consistency and strategic application of effort.
So given that we're all busy, how do we structure our approach to make sure we're using these resources strategically for the maximum impact on our processing speed.
We can follow these 4 definitive steps for successful online learning. This really ensures your effort isn't wasted on the wrong method or the wrong platform. Step 1. Assess your level and purpose. And this goes beyond just knowing if you're B1 or B2. You need to define what success looks like functionally for you. Is your goal travel? High-stakes academics like passing the TOEFL? Or is it career advancement?
Because each of those requires a different focus.
A completely different focus. Knowing your purpose lets you choose platforms that focus narrowly on conversational fluency versus, say, technical report writing. If your goal is speed, you have to prioritize that interpersonal mode training.
And people often make the mistake of just, flocking to the most popular app, regardless of how they actually learn best.
And that is a recipe for quick burnout, which leads to step 2. Define your learning style. You have to align your personality with the platform's methodology. Are you a gamer? Do you need points and leaderboards for motivation?
Like a Duolingo or Kodo English.
Exactly. You need those gamified platforms with bite-sized lessons and structured rewards to keep you engaged. Or, conversely, are you more of a content consumer? Do you prefer absorbing information through engaging videos? Then channels like EF Loggers, which take you on virtual holidays, might be a much better fit. Your personal method has to resonate, or that consistency will just fall apart.
And since time and money are valuable, we shouldn't commit to a platform until we know it fits.
Which brings us to step 3. Go for the free trials. Almost every reputable platform, Open English, Preply, so many others, they offer a free pass, a trial period, or a free introductory lesson. Always use these free trials before you commit to a paid subscription. It just minimizes the risk and ensures the platform's methodology actually aligns with your learning style. And finally, step 4, check your progress. This is so crucial for motivation. You need external validation. Track your learning with quizzes, tests, and regular reviews. The best apps and tutors provide instant feedback, helping you fix mistakes immediately so you're not practicing bad habits that will slow you down in a real conversation.
So these steps provide the foundation. Now, let's talk strategy. Beyond just choosing the right platform, what are the best techniques for integrating all 4 skills, especially listening and speaking, to specifically build that faster processing?
The primary strategic advice is simple, but it's constantly ignored. Rotate all 4 skills. This isn't just for variety, it's about forcing your brain to use different retrieval mechanisms, and all of them feed into your interpersonal speed. You have to plan reading, writing, listening, and speaking activities every week. For example, writing a journal entry every day forces you to actively retrieve vocabulary and structure sentences, but in a low-pressure environment. That organized retrieval muscle is exactly what you need when you're suddenly forced to come up with a rapid response in a real conversation.
So you're training the output channel writing and speaking to keep up with the input channel of reading and listening.
Exactly right. The other key strategy is to combine different platforms. Don't rely on just one source for everything. Use 2 or 3 to focus on multiple skills. So for instance, you could dedicate your morning to detailed grammar study with English Class 101 videos, and then spend your evening doing active, spontaneous speaking practice on an app like Tandem or HelloTalk.
So you compartmentalize the skills.
You do, and it ensures each skill gets focused attention. A third, and maybe the most transformative strategy, is immersion. Turn your world into an English lab. This is how you force your brain to stop translating internally, which is the ultimate obstacle to speed.
So changing your phone's language settings.
Change your device language settings to English. Watch all your shows with English subtitles. Deliberately follow English-speaking creators and news sources online. By flooding your environment, you force your brain to process in English directly. You short-circuit that slow 2-step process of hearing English, translating to your native language, formulating a reply, and then translating back to English. Cutting out those middle 2 steps is the ultimate key to C2 speed.
And once we've consumed all this, how do we make sure that vocabulary and those tricky grammar points are actually available to us instantly when we need them?
By prioritizing active memory reinforcement, actively recall. You have to use the quizzes, the flashcards, the regular reviews offered by these platforms. Knowledge is, functionally useless in a fast conversation if you can't retrieve it instantly. Recall tools bridge that gap between knowing a word passively and being able to use it actively.
This whole approach mixing focused technical work with broad practice and self-assessment, it ensures you're maximizing every minute. It's about being strategic, not just busy. So let's bring this all together. If we look back at our mission to finally defeat the frustration of fast English, the strategy is no longer a mystery. It's a clear, actionable plan.
It is. It requires a dual approach. First, you conquer the receptive side, the interpretive mode, by embracing the technology. You use tools like YouTube speed controls and channels like VOA Learning English to deliberately slow down native content, giving your brain the time it needs to learn how to segment connected speech.
And at the same time, we have to aggressively train our brains in real-time processing and production. That's the interpersonal mode. That means consistently engaging in two-way communication through language exchanges, prioritizing platforms like the Mixer or Lingby that force spontaneous speaking, and getting professional feedback from tutors.
Right. It's that combination of controlled input and spontaneous output that turns hesitant recognition into genuinely fluent processing speed.
Now, we discussed the incredible utility of English for careers in technology, but as we move past those initial hurdles of speed and grammar by engaging with real people on these platforms, what's the ultimate non-linguistic transformative benefit that our sources emphasized?
Well, the transformative benefit is cultural, and it's arguably the most valuable outcome of all. The knowledge you gain goes so far beyond just improving your speaking confidence. Interacting with native speakers and genuine exchanges leads to these fascinating cultural insights.
You learn more than just words.
So much more. By having real conversations about daily life, you learn about customs, underlying beliefs, values, subtle social cues that no textbook could ever convey. The research consistently shows that learning a language makes you a more culturally sensitive, tolerant, and empathetic global citizen. And often, these language exchanges, they evolve into deep, meaningful transnational friendships, expanding your entire worldview in ways that just transcend linguistic mastery.
That is the real power of language learning, isn't it? A passport not just to business, but to diverse cultures and new perspectives. So for you, our listener, now armed with this clear strategy to conquer the barrier of speed by using technology tactically and prioritizing spontaneous practice, what part of the world or what hidden cultural story are you ready to unlock next by mastering that final challenge of conversational velocity?